Solo Atheon is a pretty hard challenge in Destiny 2. Took me over 60 hours of attempts, and I lost my sanity while doing so. If you want to go insane, I recommend trying this challenge out. During this video, I'm going to give you some tips, tricks, and just some general strategies that I discovered while I was running this challenge. So let's start off with the gear I was running during the solo. So we used Witherhoard. I used a Far Future with Lead from Gold, Interference. My helmet consisted of Recovery Mod, 2 Grenade Launcher Ammo Finders, Empowered Finish, and Super Structure Defender. My arms, I have a Strength Mod, Bolstering Detonation, Fastball, Stacks on Stacks, and a Precise Oracle Disruptor. To start off, my chest piece was a Crest of Alpha Loopy. I had a minor recovery mod, Solar Resistance, Concussive, Supercharged. My legs had a Discipline mod, 2 Grenade Launcher, Scavengers, High Energy Fire, and Superstructure Defender. You could swap this one out for a Superstructure Striker and make these Arc. And then my class item, I have Breach and Clear and Precise Oracle Disruptor. This gives me stats that don't really matter. After I get the stick and the Gatekeeper dies, I swap my boots, my primary, and my secondary. So my new primary is an Ignition Code with Demolitionist. I swap to Aeon's Vow, and then my legs contain a Recovery mod, a Grenade Launcher Scavenger, Invigoration, and Radiant Light. We use Radiant Light to get Strength. This gives me 100 Strength. And then I just have this mod on, it's just there. And once you are ready to destroy the last Oracle, I swap my chest piece to a Heart of Inmost Light, Recovery, Void, Concussive, Protective Light. And now what this does is it gives me 100 Strength and 50 Resilience. You want 100 Strength, 50 Resilience for the best damage output. Next, let's start with a general understanding of the fight and the lineups I used while running the fight. So to start off, there are 2 different sides that you can get teleported into, Mars and Venus. Each side also has 3 different spawn points, left, center, and right. Let's start with Mars. Left Mars, the reference point I used is slightly right of the left side of the pillar in the background. I know, it's a bit confusing. Here's a photo to describe the spot. And then an alternate reference point you could use is slightly above the corner on the shadow on the floor. Both reference points work very well. You'll just need to figure out which one works best for you. Center Mars, this is where RNG plays a factor. Center Mars is completely impossible to do. If anyone tells you they've done it, they're lying. The reason why this one is impossible is because you have no way to grab the relic. Thankfully, this is the only spawn out of 6 that is impossible to do. So if we assume that each spawn has a 1 out of 6 chance of occurring, the chance that any given run has this is 52%, which means there's a 48% chance that any run is doable. It's not bad, but it's a bit annoying when you get to 4th phase and you get the bad spawn. Right Mars, the reference point I used is the left edge of the pillar in the background. It also works out to being slightly right of the shadows on the floor, or like kind of above the corner. Again, both reference points work very well for this. You just need to practice both to figure out which one works best for you. When I was running this, I found that using the pillar in the background was super easy for the left Mars spawn, but for the right Mars spawn, the shadow on the floor was easier. Again, you'll need to tinker around, figure out what one works best for you. Yeah, Another thing you could do is you could purposefully fail the finisher and just practice shooting at the spots that you want to shoot. The issue doing this though is that when you're doing actual runs, you are in a finisher that has a limited time and you need to practice on making those split-second decisions on where to shoot. Um, Now for Venus, I found Venus is a lot more forgiving if you miss the gatekeepers. Maybe it's just because I inherently shoot too far to the left on Venus, whereas Mars, you need to shoot a bit more to the right. I'm unsure. Anyways, left Venus, the reference point I used is basically the very top of the vault door that you can see in the background. There's a vine right above where you can shoot, which is highlighted yellow in this photo. If you're struggling to hit the stick on this gatekeeper, I'd recommend shooting more towards the left and hoping for a ground kill. So if you used the superstructure striker mod that I mentioned earlier, this will actually keep the gatekeeper standing still while you're near a sink plate, and it will basically guarantee the kill, even if it just starts tagging. Center Venus, this one is extremely easy to line up. However, getting the timing down for this one, it can be a bit frustrating. To start, this is the only position that requires a manual Witherhoard shot. What I mean by this is every other spawn, you can actually hold click and it will just fire the Witherhoard shot when it's able to fire. The issue doing that with this one though is you'll hit the relic. So for this one, you need to let go of click and then grab the relic, and when the relic is at about 90%, then hit click. And you want the Witherhoard shot to kind of pierce through where the right of the relic is. And if you get the timing right, it will actually go straight through the relic and then stick the gatekeeper. There's a clip in the background showing an example of a stick. Right Venus, the lineup for this one is extremely easy too. So again, there's another vine that you can use and you want to aim about halfway up that vine. This is my least favorite spawn though, not because the lineup is difficult. I would say this is probably the easiest one to line up, but because sometimes you'll leave the finisher and you'll just die. I don't know what causes this, but in my experience, if you cap your frames to around 100, it causes it to happen less. And also if you do the finisher away from walls and the sink plate. Again, I don't know why, but if you just die leaving the finisher, record it, see if it was right Venus. If it was, you did nothing wrong. If you die because you're going flying into the air, it's because you're holding W when you leave the finisher. So don't hold W until your feet are on the ground. You can tell a bit of information about your lineups based on the damage numbers you see. Yellow 1156 means you stuck the gatekeeper, so your lineup was perfect. Yellow 1788 means you stuck a goblin. Unfortunately, if you get this, it's hard to tell what happens, but your lineup was off. I would always suggest you record that clip and review the footage. Again, feel free to send me any clips of sticks or mystics, and I can tell you what went wrong. My Discord will be in the description and as a pinned comment if you'd like to join or message me. White 2957 means you're damaging the gatekeeper, but you didn't get a stick. This usually means you fired too far left on Venus and too far right on Mars. If you get this, rush to the sink plate though, because if you've got Superstructure Defender or Striker on, there's a very high chance you'll still end up killing them. White 4577 means you're damaging a goblin. This usually means you fired too far right on Venus and too far left on Mars, but I would record the footage and watch it back. Again, feel free to send me any clips. Last number is a white 5916 or something similar. This means you fired just below the gatekeeper. Fire slightly higher up, but your horizontality is perfect. Again, if you get this, rush to the sink plate because it will then start turning into 2957s, and you can most likely kill the gatekeeper if you can proc Superstructure Defender or Superstructure Striker. A good example of a 5916 is the third phase in my solo clear. There's a clip playing right now showing that. Now that the basics are out of the way, let's take a look at some tips and tricks as well as some annoying bugs that can occur during this fight. First of all, when you start out, you want to kill 3 of the 5 harpies that spawn on Mars' side. The reason being that once all 5 harpies die, they will respawn further on during the fight. Usually, this occurs halfway during the damage phase, which means you've got 5 harpies shooting at you while you're also trying to deal damage to Atheon and dodge Atheon shots. By killing 3 of them, you have a 4th one to use for the finisher glitch, and a 5th one to throw a fusion grenade at right before the damage phase. This won't respawn them until after the damage phase is done, and you need to do another finisher. The harpies on Venus' side are a lot more annoying to hit with a fusion grenade before damage. Sometimes they aren't even there. For Venus, I suggest you throw a hammer at one of the 2 quantums and then throw your fusion grenade across the map to one of the Mars side quantum harpies. There are a few reasons for this. The first one, the quantums on Mars generally stand still and are extremely easy to hit. I would say I maybe missed them 3 times out of the 60 hours this challenge took me. Second, you don't need to kill both quantums on Venus before a damage phase. If the harpies aren't there, and there's no supplicants, you would need to kill both quantums on Venus and then launch a hammer across during the damage phase. That's not good. Third one, if the harpies are there, you don't need to expose yourself to 5 harpies all beaming at you. You'll just take so much damage. This also will allow you to use your finisher on the second Mars quantum harpy after that damage phase. And by doing this, you'll respawn those quantums in time to weaken them for the next damage phase. The other thing I found that I do differently than other people is I place my Venus barricade a lot more towards those 5 harpies instead of Atheon. Venus in general is just less ideal for damage because you're a lot more exposed, and if you don't have protective light, those 5 harpies just beam the shit out of you. If you place your barricade towards those harpies, they will deal significantly less damage to you. The video in the background is the Venus damage phase I had during my successful solo clear. You can see how I place my barricade a lot more towards the harpies than Atheon. You can also see during it, the harpies are shooting the barricade. They're almost destroying it. I also chose to leave the portal after I re-procced Roaring Flames halfway through the damage phase. Depending on whether or not you have protective light, I would suggest you either go forward towards Atheon if you have protective light, or backwards towards the sync plate if you don't. In this clip, I had protective light, so I was playing a lot more aggressive, and I was just charging at Atheon. A supplicant actually blew up on me, but I was able to survive because protective light is just a balanced mod. When you're setting up for the damage phase, after you pop your barricade on the portal, wait a second before you throw your hammer at the quantum harpy. The sweet spot is around 23 seconds. The reason why you want to wait is you'll still get all 3 of your grenades off as long as you're good at throwing them on time. And if you throw the hammer too early, when you try to re-proc empowered halfway through the damage phase, you will actually gain the buff off of the grenade and not the hammer. That's not good because then your grenades aren't going to be dealing the 388k. In the background, there's 2 clips that are going to be running. This first clip is one where I re-proc empower times 2, and for the most part, the damage phases seem basically the exact same, the only difference being I didn't pick up the relic immediately on one of them. But if you actually slow it down and look at the time, the first one, I threw the hammer at 23 seconds and I got 388k. The second one, which is now playing, I threw the hammer at 24 seconds and then my next grenades are only doing 290k. You'll still get all of the grenades off, just watch the timer. I actually had another class item that you'll see I swapped to in my clear after the Venus damage phase. This class item has Blast Radius on, which gives you charged with light for killing enemies rapidly with a grenade launcher. When you're dealing damage on Venus' side, there's still that one harpy that you left alive on Mars' side. Because it's going to die unless you kill it, which you shouldn't be, you're not going to have charge with light times 4, which means you're not going to have a full range of protective light during the damage phase. By using a blast radius class item and just swapping to it, you'll be able to get that times 4 charged with light, and that way you don't have to stress about damage phase survivability as much. The hardest Oracle combination you will ever experience is where Hidden Left appears as the second Oracle in the first set. It takes around 10 to 12 seconds for you to succumb to the Oracles, and with the travel time to Venus and opening the portal, you lose about 3 seconds. As a result, you will most likely need to do a double, which means to kill a single Oracle, leave, and then re-enter and bang out both Hidden Left and the last Oracle in one entrance. You have 3 seconds in the portal before you lose to time, which is actually enough time to hit a triple with Hidden Left. So hitting a double shouldn't be much of an issue as long as you know where to shoot Hidden Left from. Again, that's just practice. When Hidden Left is the second Oracle in the second set, I would suggest entering the portal, killing the first Oracle, leaving, grab the relic for a second, drop it, enter to destroy Hidden Left, leave, and then re-enter to destroy the third Oracle. A few things to keep in mind while doing this though. 1, you need to be holding the relic for about a second to reset the timer, and 2, you need to be out of the portal for about a second to reset that timer. If you notice you lose to time when you weren't in for long at all, you did not stay outside long enough. When Hidden Left is the second Oracle in the third set, I would always swap to Heart of Inmost Light before destroying any Oracles. You're already limited on time from it being the second Oracle, you just can't afford to lose even more time from swapping in the middle of the set. The most annoying thing that can occur during this fight is Atheon bugging out and being active while you're trying to shoot the Oracles. Good news is that this can only happen on Venus, which is a result of you clipping through Atheon and displacing him while you're doing the finisher. Bad news is that this makes getting to damage extremely difficult because you're trying to stack Roaring Flames and focus on Oracle callouts while also dodging Atheon. Normally this results in a wipe. There's really nothing you can do to prevent this except for maybe try to do the finisher in a bit of a different location. But for the most part, there's really nothing you can do. Pain, I'm dealing with Atheon right now as well. Okay, good, no hidden left on this one. Middle, left. Middle, left. Please give me the relic game. Yeah, okay. Dude, I cannot deal with Atheon shooting at me and have to keep fucking hitting hidden lefts. At the time of writing this, I really can't think of any other tips or tricks to help you beat this. I've went over the lineups, how to begin the phase, how to finish a damage phase, how to deal damage, hidden left. Yeah. If I think of anything else, I'll just add it to the pinned comment. Good luck. If you liked the video, please leave a like. Be sure to subscribe and feel free to join my Discord and send me messages if you have any other questions. Thanks.